ask the recording secretary to take attendance, please.
In attendance tonight, we have Brian Wolf, Gail Ober, Rich McNeil, Mike Delavecchia, Chairman Charlie St. Clair, Louis Joseph, Amy Levisick, Planning Department, staff members, Director Rob Mora. I'm Savannah Brunel, the recording secretary, and Scott Pelchat, the zoning tech.
Thank you. Look for a motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting. From somebody? So moved. A second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, raise your hands. We have
I'm
an-
going to abstain.
We have it, so, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor and 1 abstention. Thank you.
This is not your,
That's correct.
can you make Brian a voting member?
I think he already is, isn't he?
I don't think so.
Are you an alternate, Brian?
No,
No,
everybody
I
that's
didn't
here is a
think so.
full member.
Yeah, everybody's here. Anything else, Mike? You all set? Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll move on to, do we have any continued public hearings?
No.
Okay, we'll pass on that, thank you. So now we have some new hearings here. We'll do 7.1 PL 2023-0046 SP AMDI, 62 Pleasant Street. The applicant is proposing to amend their application to add a master sign plan. Well, this should be- Is the applicant here? And we need a motion to accept this?
Yes, we'll need a motion to accept the application as complete.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your hands. It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Good evening. If you could just give your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Jason Gagnon, and I am from 120 Long Pond Road, Dunbarton, New Hampshire.
Thank you.
So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board. My name is Jason Gagnon with Sousa Signs, and I am here on behalf and with members from Bank of New Hampshire, as well as OPG Construction. Tonight we are here to seek approval for a new master sign plan. With the new building under construction, having a new sign plan configured will help the property start with an organized and clean slate moving forward. The new sign plan would include 4 exterior individual channel letter sets in total, all internally illuminated. 1 letter set would be on each of the elevations. 2 double-sided directional wayfinding signs. The lighting system for these have not been 100% finalized, but they are thought to be internally illuminated with opaque backgrounds. 2 entrance door vinyl graphics. 1 non-illuminated surround panel system for the in-wall ATM unit in the drive-thru. There's going to be upwards of 5 miscellaneous signs, and these are going to be containing to drive-through canopy clearance signs, standard DOT, and lane indications. And the last thing will be it's going to be 1 projecting wall sign, which will feature a chime clock and temperature unit, which would mirror a unit that was last seen on the property back in 1969. With the new layout of the property and the building placements as it sits today, a freestanding sign or monument sign is not in the cards. I would like to thank everyone for the opportunity for allowing me to present this, and if you do have any questions, feel free to let me know.
Thank you very much. I have a question, or should we have public input first?
You can ask the questions.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
Mr.
didn't want
Chair-
to step on. Hold on.
But I have a point of order to make before I say anything about this, and I don't know this. This is a small town and a big bank. I have a deposit relationship with them. Is that a conflict?
No,
No, okay. All
but
right.
thank you for enlightening us on that.
Well, no, I'm just saying, I
Oh,
got
I-
$3
we
grand in
might
a
all
checking
have
account.
that.
It doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily.
Give us your
I
account
was-
number.
I was thanking you for enlightening us on that. So my only question is that, did you guys have a change of people making these designs? Because the last time you were here, which was a while ago, I was under the impression that they would not put the clock, rotating clock up there or temperature under any circumstances. And I'm not complaining, mind you, I'm just asking.
So a rotating clock. If I may I introduce Jeff Dupree from Opeachy? I'm going to say that I believe that the clock is non-rotating.
Well, either way, it's up there.
It's obviously just on the building.
Correct.
It's up there. That's fine. Again, no complaints. As a citizen, I'm very happy because that, and I'm sure the bank, or their marketing people would be happy to know that, I think I speak for a lot of citizens in here. We just became very used to checking our time, whatever we were on our way to do, by looking at that Bank of New Hampshire clock. And so when it stopped working, that was a big deal to a lot of people. You know, it really was. It may seem silly, but kind of like the Citgo sign in Boston. You get used to something, and when it's not there anymore, it kind of like, damn, where'd that go? So I'm happy that that's going back up there. That's all I wanted to comment on. Does anybody else have any questions?
I have a quick question, if
Sure.
I may. Just out of curiosity, obviously the sign
Amy,
used to be.
can you-
Oh, can you not hear me?
No.
Thank you. So the original large clock and temperature sign was where the building was. Is there a reason that that is mounted on the inside of the, well, I guess south of the building versus the northern side of the building?
I think the idea was to have the clock kind of in the middle of the property, so that people that were parking where the existing building is now, that's gonna become a parking lot. So people that would park there, they could see the
I see.
time and temperature from the parking lot, and also see it coming around Veterans Square
Got it.
in the opposite direction. So
Thank you.
kind of like creating a balance point.
Understood. Thank you.
Any other questions? No flashing signs? I like those too. Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you.
We'll open up a public hearing now at 6:37. Is there anybody in the public like that would have as irrelevant comments as I just had on anything? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 6:37. Thank you. Okay, so, any questions for staff or right now? Go ahead, Gail.
Couple quick ones. Is this project performance zoning or just under regular zoning?
It's performance zoning, which is why they were able to come here for a master signage plan, because they're actually technically over what zoning allows.
That was my question. I was going to that, and I did not know if this was a performance zoning or if this needed to go to the ZBA.
No, and this was a great opportunity to showcase how performance zoning worked in the downtown district, with allowing a business such as the Bank of New Hampshire to have a little bit more flexibility with their design standards. So it was a great opportunity, and they really did present a great project, a great master signage plan to us. And it was a great opportunity all
Yeah,
around.
no, I have no objections to it. I just wanted to know, because I wasn't involved initially with it, how this was, and about how much over are they from what we would normally allow for a building that size? It's probably not significant, because it doesn't look like a lot of signage, but,
It's not the total square footage, it's just the number of signs.
okay, all right.
And it just comes down to, they gotta sign a little sign on the ATM and on the windows, and it just, the number of them just exceeds what they're.
Thank you.
Staff, any?
I can, let me go over here. So we only had two conditions that we were recommending. First is under plan revisions. The master signage plan must be revised and submitted to the planning department prior to the issuance of any sign permit. Revisions must include a new analog clock and temperature sign, and a table of signs containing the type and square footage, dimensions, materials, illumination, colors, and height from the ground for each sign. And then all prior conditions from the notice of action from May 3rd shall remain in effect.
That's it?
That was it.
Hey, one last shot at any questions, comments? Looking for a motion. Yea or nay?
Go ahead, Rob.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to accept application PL 2023-0046 SP AMD 1 with the staff recommendations and the prior conditions from May 3rd, 2023.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. That's 5 in the, excuse me, that's 6 in the affirmative. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, well, we're gonna move on to 7.2, PL 2024-0081, extension 553 Weirs Boulevard, that's Langley Cove, 216 to 43, -12 and 13.
So if you're looking for your front page of that, it's on the back side of the last page of the
What are we,
bank packet.
what are we looking at, Amy? What are you looking
If
for?
you're looking for your staff report.
Oh, that's fine. I just want to get this application
Oh, read in? I thought you needed
approved.
this.
Do we need approval on this? Again?
Yeah, you'll need to accept it.
Okay, I need this accepted. Amy, since you were,
Sure, absolutely. I will make that motion.
okay, second?
Second.
And second, and all in favor, raise your hands. Okay, 6 in the affirmative, thank you. Okay. We have a strange person in front of us. Perhaps you could remind us your name and address?
Good evening, John Roque with Roque Consulting. I'm here on behalf of Brady Sullivan Properties for what I'm anticipating to be the last time I'm ever here in front of you for an extension request for Langley Cove. We are under construction. We're working on building permits for the first 8 units right now. Hopefully be turning those in shortly. But Paul Busby is with me here this evening, and we've been working all spring with the city, kind of getting everything organized. A bunch of tree clearing is taking place, and they're ready to start getting the entrance all completely put in. The schedule that we're on right now, we believe we'll have the entrance all completed and paved by fall. Before snow this fall, when you're driving down Weirs Boulevard, the entrance will look pretty complete and paved. From there, we are intending to roll right through to Phase 2 and make the secondary connection to Paugus Woods. That will basically eliminate the temporary secondary access that we have going right now for Paugus Woods. So everything will be paved access. It'll be gated between the two, but it'll by this time of year, there should be a full secondary access all the way through the projects. So Busby was the one that actually worked on Paugus Woods, and that's all completed now, and I believe we have all the houses CO'd and occupied, so Paugus Woods is completed at this point. So all focus is on Langley. Every project that Brady Sullivan had is now down to just this one, so that's gonna be the focus for the next several years, just getting it built out.
Okay, I have one question before we open it up.
Yep.
Are there, that temporary entrance from the top,
Yep.
are there any construction trucks now going through there to access the project?
No, there are not.
None whatsoever?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
We,
Okay,
at times during this construction, we may need to shuffle people in and out of that entrance because we have to keep access 100% open for the residents in the area. And when we are doing certain aspects of the lower level, we may need to shuffle people in and out through Paugus just because there won't physically be a way to get to Weirs Boulevard. But we're not anticipating having any construction traffic running back and forth in there.
Okay, I mean, I've lost track of who's in charge of what roads up there.
Yep.
On that back area there.
Yep.
Saratoga and some other ones, but I made a delivery up there this past weekend. Just missed losing my front wheel on a very big hole up there. And I thought to myself, geez, I wonder who's responsible for that. I don't know. And then I thought maybe there's some big trucks going through there to help that hole deteriorate.
That's the guy that
like
would know. So
So-
I
You don't have to get up, it's okay. I just want to bring it up, because
Yep.
it was a big hole.
Okay.
And I know if that was in a city street, I'm sure others would be bringing it to the attention of DPW.
Yep.
Like myself, so that,
Yep.
just something to think about.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions on this extension request?
I only have one, Mr. Chair. Why is the applicant address blocked out?
What is what? Gail, speak in this, so I
Oh,
can.
I'm sorry. Why is the applicant's address, et cetera? I mean, the ownership of this project hasn't changed,
It is
has
known, and it's public record, but because it was going on the internet, it was posted, we wanted to reduce the amount of personal information that was being disseminated.
Which is fine.
Okay, all right, I'm just asking. I'm not commenting.
Every bit
I'm-
of everything that we have here is right to know, and a person could come in and request that information. But for cybersecurity reasons, that we're trying to reduce personal information that's disseminated online, such as cell phones and email addresses
Of who?
Of
of
anybody.
everyone.
What do you mean, of everyone?
Applicants.
Of any-
Of the applicants,
Yeah.
okay, not the abutters or anything like
No.
that, of
No,
the
like
applicants.
on your application, like if you look at the regular one on file with the city of Laconia, it has like my cell number, it has my email, and
No,
it has
I
everything.
probably got
So-
your
so-
cell phone number,
So that's
John,
what,
but-
that's what he's saying though, like when you put it out online, if somebody wants to come to City Hall and look at it, it's public record, but it's just not out there for anybody to grab on the internet.
Okay, well, it's just unusual, and I
I actually
asked
appreciate
for
it.
an explanation. I asked for an
I think that's
explanation, and I got
the new
one.
reality of the world that we live in today.
Okay, well, just as a point of reference, most of you know I made my living as a journalist, living and dying by the right to, by the open documents law, and I just wanted to make sure that this availability was being hidden from anybody.
I'll give you my cell phone for
I
a day
probably have it somewhere,
and
'cause
listen
I was on the
to, listen
zoning
to how
board
many
1,000
spam
years.
calls I
But
get every day.
it's okay, I just, that was the reason for my statement, that's all.
It's not the spam, it's the hate calls that
Oh, yeah.
you get irritated with. All right, does anybody else have any questions? Staff? Commentary, please?
Do you want to open it up for public input?
Oh, I keep forgetting that. Very important thing. Yes, we'll do that. Thank you for reminding me. We'll open this up at 6:47. Is there anybody in the public that is here to comment on this extension request? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing at 6:47 and move along. Staff, could you give us any of your thoughts, please?
Staff has no issues with the request for the extension. Our only recommended conditions would be the completion date shall be extended from July 2nd, 2024 to July 7th, 2025. And prior conditions, all other conditions from the July 10th, 2018 and August 2nd, 2022, notice of actions shall remain in effect.
Okay, so everybody got that? That's gonna be for a year then. A year and a few days. Okay, thank you. Any other commentary from anybody? I'll entertain.
Actually, I'd like to just ask, like, if we're gonna, if it seems like we're going to extend, what my question would come, just kind of straw poll the board. At what point, like, Rob and I have been talking about this a lot, but at what point are we vested? Like, if we, in the board's eyes, for extension requests. So if we put the water line in Rouge Boulevard, if we have phase one, and at this time next year, we have a phase two, like we're connected into Paugus, I mean, at what point does the board feel like it's vested and done, and we don't need to ask for an extension again?
I think we should probably, wait till we get close to that time, and maybe
Okay.
that question would be a
Okay.
solid question, because
It's
Who knows?
something we're active, we've already talked to Rob about it, and we
Right,
wanna try to, we don't wanna waste your time coming back and forth, but.
well, we're here anyway,
Yep.
so that doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, if you're gonna need more time, then you gotta ask for
Yep.
it, that's all.
Yep, but we are under construction. All the times before this, we've been trying to get going, and now it's just gonna be rolling it through construction at this
Well,
point.
I'm sure I speak for some of the other board members, but since those trees have come down, all of a sudden people are saying, what's happening up there? There's been a lot of attention all of
Yep.
a sudden, and,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep,
Yep, we'll discuss it as we
Okay.
get closer, and
yep, over the course of next year,
we'll figure out a plan for it.
Nope, sounds good. Perfect.
Okay, thank you. So I'll entertain a motion for anybody on this extension. Somebody?
All right, I'll make a motion to accept PL 2024-008-1EXT with the recommendation listed on the staff report and the finding of facts.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second.
Second by Amy. Any more comments or commentary, questions? Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. That's 6 in the affirmative. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you again. Okay.
All right.
Is it, would it be possible without a lot of trouble to move the presentations before these other two? Because I suspect that's why these other people are here. Are you guys here for presentations, or are you here for something else? Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah, rather than have them sit through this other stuff. Yes, go ahead.
I guess I don't know what your question is. I'm here about the issue of the number of vehicles.
Yeah, that, we're gonna talk about that.
Okay, that's not what you're talking
No,
about?
no,
Okay.
no. I just want to skip that for a second to take care of this presentation, because I have a feeling that may take a little more time. Yeah, okay. That's fine. Is that okay? Do we need to vote on that? Move that around? I believe we
would-
do.
I would just vote on it,
Yeah.
make it official.
So, somebody want to make a motion to?
said.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. That's 6 in the affirmative. Thank you very much. So, we will now move to 8.1 presentations. That's PL 2024-0082 PB 376-394 Union Avenue. This is applicant is proposing a conversion of commercial buildings into residential units. Hi, if you just give your name and address?
I'm Frank Yerkes with Du Bois and King, 208 Union Avenue. Representing Central Shore Holdings. Kurt Brungart, Principal Central, is here tonight. And we're here to just do an informational presentation.
Well, take the floor, thank you.
I think most of you are familiar with Union Square on Union Avenue. It's a commercial condominium development. It's been active for quite some time. It was developed by David Livingston and some others. Currently, there are 2 residential apartments in that complex. We're proposing to convert the commercial to 14 to 16 residential units. There are no plans to change any of the building footprints. We've got detailed design plans in the works. Kurt has met with the fire department, and each building will have 4 units or less, which won't require sprinklers or a central station monitor, which had been, apparently the code has been revised. We plan on starting on the vacant buildings, 394 and 390. We're going to convert 394 to 4 residential units and 390 to 4 residential units. The rent will be market rates. It'll be an annual lease, not seasonal. And there's plenty of existing parking. When we get around to a formal application, we'll do the parking calculations, but I think residential will be a lot less intensive than commercial. There won't be as much in and out during the day.
Are these gonna be apartments or condos?
Apartments, rental apartments. Our attorney, Regina Nadeau, has contacted the Secretary of State, and we've gotten an opinion that no no change of disposition with the Secretary of State is necessary because they'll be leased units. They won't be up for sale. And I don't want to bore you with the whole letter, but we do have a letter from the Secretary of State. So with that, I'd open it up to questions. Kurt's here to answer any questions. We were just hoping to get some feedback, and we wanted to inform the board of our plans.
So how many total units did you say, total for all of?
14 to 16 residential.
Okay.
There-
Be one bedroom or two bedroom,
Well, it's going to be a mix.
mix?
Yeah, so just to be clear, there's like 27 units total in the 5 Livingston buildings.
Okay.
The Dr. Finn building, I don't know how many you know that, where the Democrats are. We're not changing any use in that building, so that's staying as is. And so it's only the other buildings that we're gonna be doing some work in. It varies. There are some single unit, the 2 apartments that are on top of the Dr. Finn building. Those are the only 2 residential units today. Those are both kind of studio, 1 bedroom. We'll have some 1 bedrooms, some 2 bedrooms, 2 4 bedrooms, and a 3 bedroom as we kind of currently have it laid out. So it's a bit of a mix. Rents will range from probably somewhere a little over $1,000 for a 1 bedroom up to $2,200-$2,300 for a 4 bedroom. At least that's what we're projecting right now.
Are you gonna have to do any work on that parking lot?
So the parking lots, we're not planning to make any changes to the layout of it. There's been a lot of deferred capital expense with the current owners, and some of that needs to be addressed. The parking lot is one of those places that we think needs some work, but we do have other condo owners that we have to work with to reach agreement on what to do there. But from our point of view, we think
Condo owners?
yeah, so there are 8 buildings in that condo complex. We're only, with Dr. Livingston, we're buying his 5 units.
5, okay.
Can you tell us the numbers? Do you have it in front of you? Are they numbered here, just out of curiosity? No, I can see the numbers,
Oh.
but which ones are the condos that are gonna stay the same, and which are the 5 that you wanna go to residential?
So the 4
Oh,
will
the
be
4.
changing, right, so the one that's staying the same is the building that Dr. Finn is in, and that is 376,
Okay,
all right? And then the 4 to the right are the ones that we're talking about. So 382, 386, 390, and 394.
okay. And then the other 3 looks like 1 small building, 1 significant building, and
Yeah.
1 medium building, I guess, for lack of description. Those, no changes are proposed to those.
So I don't own those, right? I won't own those. So I'm under contract on these, on the 5 from Dr. Livingston.
So-
I happen to be under contract for the design building too from Steve Cotter, but that's a separate purchase and we're not changing use in that one. Then the building behind that is an office building by a separate owner. And then that's Sal's Pizza to the left, which has separate ownership as well.
So getting back to the parking lot, because I know they've had some water issues up there. And I'm not sure if the water is from underneath the parking lot, if it's just particular buildings that are getting flooded, or?
The only building that I've heard an issue with was the Dr. Finn building in the
Yeah.
basement there.
Yeah,
On the left-hand side, the Democrats' office and Dr. Finn has a small storage area down
Okay.
below there. I've been told that it only got wet once. It happened to be this year. I don't know whether that's, this is what I've been told.
yeah. Well, we know how the weather is these days, so as long as you're aware of it and it's something people are gonna look at, that's good, that's good.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
No, I think it's a great idea. I mean, if there's no further commercial use for these properties, and we could put some rental properties, within a walking distance of downtown on our rolls, I think it's a spectacular idea, regardless of the parking challenges. I also think this would be a good opportunity for performance zoning in the event that there are some parking challenges. I would hate to see us lose parking. I would hate to see us lose this project
I don't
for
think-
falling short for a
There's
couple of
so
parking
much
spaces.
parking back there, Gail.
No,
There's
if
so
there
much
is,
par-
if there is, there is. I'm
There
just
is.
saying that,
Yeah, no. We don't need to worry about parking.
We
there.
feel there's more than adequate parking.
It is definitely more than that. You could take up some high school cars over there and still have enough.
Yeah.
It's very, very large lot.
Oh, it's only a recommendation, Charlie, because I would hate to see it get hung
No, I
up
can
because,
assure you that that's.
because there's a couple of parking
if this
spaces too
building-
short.
If this fails, Gail, it will not be due to parking.
Okay.
Any other questions? I think we're good. It sounds like everybody's on board with you, and I don't think you'll have, when you come back to, if they do come back to us, I guess they will at some point. Yeah,
Yeah, when they have their formal submission, they'll come back.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
We just wanted to present it and get some feedback.
I think you got good feedback.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're gonna jump backwards to. I move stuff around and I lose it. Where's the agenda? That's what I need. Okay, we moved over there. Okay, thank you.
I think we need a print.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to 7.3. This is the rules of procedure. We're now considering the adoption of new rules of procedure. I'll let you take it away, Mr. Director.
So we proposed our changes or our rewrite of our entire planning board rules and procedures. From the feedback we've got, it seems to be in pretty good working order. I haven't heard anybody say any or make any recommended changes to it. So we're doing, following the law on it is, the next step is for the public hearing, and if the public wanted to speak on it, and then we're kind of hoping that after that, we'll close it. If there's any other discussion or last minute changes, the board will highlight those, and then we can perhaps vote on it and adopt it as our new rules and procedures for planning board.
I've heard no negative feedback from anybody.
Is there anything significant or just tightening up what we,
I think we're just tightening up what we already had to make it
all right, great.
meet the intent of the law.
Well, there is that, yeah. Do you need a motion, Mr. Chair, or is this just something for informational purposes to
We're
go
gonna have to
forward?
open it, make sure we open it for the public hearing for public comment.
But not tonight?
Nope,
Oh,
for
that's-
tonight.
For tonight?
Oh, I thought we were just, that's why I asked. I didn't realize the public hearing
No,
was
that is-
actually
that
This
is
should be
tonight.
this will undoubtedly be an outpouring of public comment. We'll open up the public comment at 7:02. If anybody would like to comment on the proposed
One at a time.
adoption of new rules of procedure at 7:02.
Can I just ask you to explain it a little bit further?
You got, if you want to ask me something, I got to have you come up, give your name and address so I can know who I'm speaking to.
My name is Cheryl Bonner,
Hi,
and I live on Roller Coaster Road. So
I know you.
perhaps you
I
know
do.
of what I'm speaking. I just wanted to understand it better.
The rules
So-
of procedure?
No, the changes that you're suggesting and how it might alter what you're allowed to have for vehicles, et cetera.
No,
we're not
we
on
haven't
that
got to
one
that
yet.
one yet, dear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So that's okay, that's okay. You're next. though.
That's next, though.
Okay.
You'll be
stinking
next.
cute, thank you.
Thank you. So, seeing nobody else here, we'll close the public comment at 7:03 on the rules of procedure, the new rules of procedure. Okay, so we did that.
So, if the board is happy with it, if we could get perhaps a motion to adopt the proposed rules and procedures as presented this evening and vote on it.
Well, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion. We adopt the rules of procedure as presented by planning staff.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so now we'll have a little more discussion. Just for the public, are there any particular rules that have been changed to the degree that publicly we should just mention them? That you can think of?
No, it's really,
Changes.
the most part is it's really just a cleanup. And then we've added in here, I think the most important part was formally outlining what our master plan steering committee is in the formal makeup. So after we adopt this, we can actually formally adopt a master plan steering committee and then move forward and appoint people to it to move the master plan forward. So that is by far the most important thing is we have highlighted in here what the makeup is going to be and that we're officially adopting that master plan steering committee. Because no other time have we formally adopted what that is and how it's made up. It has been a planning director that talks to the board, says, we need another member, or we need 2 members, and that's how, and now we've officially formalized what we want, what that board makeup is, and I think that's a huge step for the city. And it's a huge step as we move forward in adopting a master plan, especially as we move steps closer to getting federal monies for that master plan.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting, I think.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, as a former member of the Master Plan Steering Committee, and Rich was there with me, this is great. There has been traditionally a painful process. That's all I'm gonna say. Nobody really knew who was doing what, when, why. No one knew what the agendas were. Nothing was getting done, most importantly. There was.
Not a lot of direction.
It was just flopping all over the place, and nobody really knew what was going on, and this is such a great step to getting the city's revised master plan in place. And
Yep, this is by far the first step that you have to take before we start any work on it, so I'm very excited about it.
Okay, any other questions or comments? We have a motion to accept. All those in favor, please raise your hands. We have 6 in the affirmative. It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And thank you, Rob, for getting that done with
You're very welcome.
with your staff.
I'm proud to do it.
Good.
as a former member of the Master Plan Steering Committee.
Yep. And a
Okay,
previous planning board member.
so now we're gonna move on to 7.4, storage of unregistered and uninspected vehicles, proposed amendment to the zoning ordinance regarding the storage of unregistered and uninspected vehicles on lots of record. Do we need to have an acceptance of this?
Nope, we just need to open it for a public hearing.
Okay. I'm gonna open it for a public hearing at 7:07. You can come on up if you want. I do have one comment, though, which this is an amendment to the zoning ordinance regarding the storage of unregistered and uninspected vehicles. Shouldn't this just be of uninspected vehicles? Because doesn't the ordinance already say that the vehicles over a certain number have to be registered?
So before it was an either or, and
One or the other?
one or the other. So it was very difficult to take enforcement action on a property. Because if you had a lot that had 5 unregistered vehicles, or 10, or 20, or whatever magical number you want to come up with, if they registered all of the vehicles, they might not be roadworthy and never intended to go on the road again. But we had very little enforcement action to take because they had registered them.
Because they followed the rules of that, at that time.
Correct. So
So-
this will be saying that now you need to have them inspected and registered.
No, what you're saying is they need to be roadworthy.
And they need to be roadworthy.
Inspected means roadworthy.
Maybe?
Um,
Maybe.
But just a point of clarification, this is more than one unregistered.
Yes, so state law allows you to have the one.
Okay, that's where I was.
And we meet that, and we're just saying, anything over that, you can't have, or it needs to be screened or in the side of a structure so that abutters don't have to see it, is what we're saying.
Would a fence around the yard?
Yep.
A fence around the yard would cover that, so they
Yep.
wouldn't have to have. Okay.
And we mirrored that from how the state looked at unregistered vehicles in junkyards as well. So everything that we adopted or are making the change to is directly correlates to the state law.
So is it a matter of a fence, or is it matter,
It could be a fence, it could be shrubbery, it could be anything that permanently, year-round, screens it from view from the public.
okay, good, that's good to know. All right, thank you. If you could be so kind as to give us your name again and your address on Roller Coaster Road.
My name is Cheryl Bonner, and I live at 435 Roller Coaster Road.
Okay. Thank you for coming tonight.
And I just wanted to ask what constitutes a vehicle, because, do snowmobiles count? Do farm equipment count? Do boats count? Hay rakes count? I mean, what constitutes a vehicle?
That's a good question.
It's a great
It's a
question.
great question.
That's a good question.
Sounds like a question
So-
we've talked about.
So I'm gonna take a stab at this, and then if Rob wants to correct me, he can. But if I was looking at this, a vehicle would not be a hay rake. It would be something that you would have to be required to have an inspection sticker for if this passes, or a registration with the state. And I don't believe hay rakes qualify to be
Or
registered.
tractors or any farm
Uh,
equipment.
I think tractors do if they're gonna be on the road.
Well, yeah,
So, you could, possibly play with that. Boats, the city has something about boats now, I believe, that is separate from motor vehicles. Am I correct on that?
Yes. If you want to hang out after this public hearing, I will present something that I think you want to hear.
Okay.
And I will address exactly what you have just talked about.
This topic's come up before.
Yes.
Yes.
The topic you were talking about of that other material and the number of other vehicles and boats, I am going to also discuss tonight, that we just rewrote that section of the ordinance as well.
Okay.
Do you have a particular point of view? Is more boats and cars and hay balers a good idea or a bad idea?
I've lived on my property for 32 years, and when we first moved there, Mr. Brown was still living there. Those of you that knew Mr. Brown from the employment office. And he was a charming and a very pleasant neighbor. But his property was sold, which is the family's entitlement. And since then, we've had a different neighbor who has been problematic since the day he made an arrival.
So this is the property this is the property in a corner of Roller Coaster Road and
Yes, sir.
Parade Road?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And I am the small gray ranch right
next
to
to
the abutter.
So, just to, I don't want to muddy the waters, but I think for the city's perspective, it's best that we probably don't mention any abutters at this point during this
well,
meeting.
it kind of, I see your point, Rob, and I think it's not gonna be just, if this passes, that's not gonna be the only property that may be impacted by this, quite frankly.
No, I think if
So-
this was to pass, you're correct.
So my,
Yeah, the reason for the question is, I think what we're trying to have you share with us is, do you have a point of view on, is more unregistered and uninspected vehicles good, or
Definitely
is that bad?
less,
You want-
less of everything. Please.
I know that was a baited question.
Well, yeah.
He knew that.
And the other issue is just that, if these other items
Yeah.
don't fall under registration or inspection, and you continue to collect them and they continue to be problematic, how does that sort of thing get addressed?
Well, again, I
mean, it's,
don't
you
want
know-
to jump to conclusions, but my guess is, and I could be wrong, because I can't speak for the property owner there, but that's why I asked about fences and shrubbery and stuff like this. That seems to be a good way for that property owner to mitigate perhaps other people's pain of,
Well, let me explain to you about fences.
yeah, not a fence, I'm thinking more like shrubbery and stuff like that.
Well, let me explain about fences. In this particular situation, there never has been a fence other than hay rakes lined up in a row
Yeah.
because being an encumbrance on an animal that they could not go past a hay rake.
Yep.
In fact, over the years, we have put up barbed wire twice because of ongoing issues with a wide variety of animals that seem to look forward to eating our grass and flowers and vegetables. The shrubbery has been put up by us because I got sick and tired of looking at what was over there. And so for me, it was a visual barrier that I could live with because I couldn't change the circumstance. So
So
the shrubberies that are there
Mhm.
were put up by my husband and I.
Okay. All right, well, I think hopefully we've answered your questions, but I would strongly suggest you
Well,
talk
my
to
only
our
question
director.
is, what are these other things going to come under?
Right.
Because you listed it as a vehicle, or it was in the rulings as vehicles.
This isn't gonna touch a hay rake.
No, sir, but I would think that things like, there's
The
quite a
cit-
number of
The city
other.
already has an ordinance about boats, I believe. Yeah, So,
Well, but it's things like, at points in time, there's been all kinds of construction
yeah,
equipment
that,
that's,
we're not touching that tonight.
okay.
So
But
you-
those have to be, don't they have to be licensed as well?
You would have to go back to the planning department and talk.
I'm sorry, it's
No,
just
no,
that
no, no, no,
the
no.
variety of things
No, no,
there
the-
don't seem to be
No,
getting
no,
addressed.
These are good questions, but not for us.
Okay.
Because we're only gonna be dealing tonight with, the inspection and the registration. So if you have questions about that, which are valid questions.
Well, I mean, for instance, my husband and I have a sports car in our garage. It is neither inspected nor registered, and it sat there
It's
for
in your garage.
more years than I care to think. But
But that's.
it's in my garage,
that's in the
and it's
garage.
not visually available
Right,
to
and
anyone.
and if it's the only vehicle like that, it's permitted anyway, whether it's in the garage or not. Because you're allowed to have one uninspected, unregistered vehicle per state RSA, so you're good
Okay, okay.
with that. But I would recommend, whether it's tonight or, someday, I
just-
would talk to Rob though,
Well, my
because
thing was, I saw the notice in the paper, and I
Sure.
said, oh, how timely.
I'm amazed that you've confirmed now that somebody does read the notices in the paper. I'm actually
Well, the problem was, I
stunned.
didn't know if it applied to what
Oh, no,
my
you-
question was, but I figured it didn't hurt to come and
Unless
ask.
somebody saw one. Okay.
If
I
you,
will
if you ever want to come around and chit chat with me, my door is always open. Sometimes I'm hard to get a hold of, but Savannah will set you up with an appointment for me if I'm not there when you come in.
Okay. Well, I've stopped in, probably 3 times a year to talk with different people, and over 32 years. And so I've gotten to know the different people that have held positions, and essentially, nothing has really changed. And
Well,
although I know actions have been taken,
Yes.
but nothing has essentially changed.
Well, things move slow sometimes.
Well, 32 years, I would think something might have happened in that period of time,
Yeah, people have been born and people have died, but other than that.
sir.
Okay, so. you're-
Oceans rise, empires fall.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, well, thank you very much, and I appreciate you coming in, Julie. Is there anybody else that would like to talk to this? I see somebody getting up, but you're leaving. So long. Okay, seeing nobody else, we'll close the public hearing at 7:17 and let the Director of Planning take it away.
I hope that everybody has had a chance to read this. Obviously, it means a lot to some people, and it's very important that we move something forward with it. I think it's an improvement. I welcome if you guys want to make any changes to it, or you folks want to make any changes to it. I think Tyler and I, we worked hard on it, and we've took some suggestions from legal for what we should input into there, and I think it's going to solve some issues. We have other ordinances tonight that we want to talk about that will amplify this, but I think this, as it's presented tonight, is
Yeah.
what we need to move forward.
When does the, if this was to pass tonight, does it go to the City Council next?
Yep, so if the board was to recommend this for approval and to forward on to city council, we would not make the next city council meeting because it's a short week, but it would probably make the next city council meeting, and I think they'd have to schedule a public hearing, and so it might be another month before it's fully adopted.
Well, you could have another shot. Is there when does this take effect?
So if this went, if I hit all the milestones I would want to hit, I feel like this would be effective by about the 1st of September.
1st of December, so.
1st of September.
Yeah, see, I don't, I'm just speaking for myself, but I would like to see something like a 5 or 6 month period before it took effect. Why is this doing this? Because, let's just say somebody was gonna plant something. It could take a little time, maybe 3 months, something to give, putting up a fence, whatever it is. I think it would be fair to say we're changing the rules, because this is a big change, that inspection one.
Well, it's really,
No.
the intent has not changed. It was just, we couldn't there was a loophole in our,
Right, but it's a big loophole.
but it was, but I think the intent of the city was always to only ever allow one. And
But we're giving anybody with this stuff, vehicles, we're giving them a way to not have to do that by putting a fence up, or by putting shrubs up, or whatever else would fit the bill. So all I'm saying is there a way that we could make it of, 3 months after passage, or something? Something to give somebody a chance to say, wow, I guess I can't do this anymore, I'm going to have to do something.
so,
Just a thought, Rob.
I guess, I think that if somebody had a real hardship with this, should we adopt it? We would, even if we adopted this today, it's not like I can take enforcement action on it on day one. There would have to be letters that would go out, 3 of them to be exact, and there's an appeal period for each of those. So it's really the fastest anybody could come into compliance would be 60 days,
2 months.
which would be 2 months. And then it would go to our attorneys, and then they would have to send a letter. And they would have to give them 20 days as well. And then we would take legal action. That's when we would take legal action. And legal action isn't quick. And they would have all that time to come into compliance. So I don't know as if adding a 6-month grace period is benefiting anybody.
I guess, Rob, in my defense, is I've been brainwashed by the state, because when we pass laws down there, they take effect, as most of you know, in a year or 90 days, or very rarely right at the signing, although they do on occasion, so. Okay, that was my 2 cents. Gail, you want to say
Just a
something?
quick, one question. I haven't read the whole statute. There is an exception for agricultural farm vehicles, correct?
There is.
Okay, and then my next,
We're not proposing it, we're not touching the farm vehicles.
okay, yeah, all right, I figured yeah, I think this is an agriculture by right
Farm
state,
vehicles
so-
fall into a different,
but
but there's still a
Massachusetts-
requirement for them to be registered.
Okay, no, I understand that.
A hay rake.
You don't have to register a
Well,
tractor.
I mean,
If you drive it on the
If you have
road, you
an
do.
agricultural use vehicle, such as a vehicle a truck with agricultural plates,
Okay.
it has to be registered.
Yeah, I
If
understand
it has
that,
plates.
but not a tractor that's in your
I'm
driveway.
not addressing tractors in this.
okay.
Okay.
And then the other suggestion, recommendation, and this is very minor, I read through a couple of other ordinances in effect in New Hampshire as to the more than one. Is there a way we could incorporate, and I know this may slow it down, car covers? And the reason why I say that is there are instances where, number one, someone may not have a garage.
So,
And number two, 2 people may have 2 vehicles that they seasonally remove from the road. And I'm saying if they value those vehicles, and many people do, they're like an antique thing, but they make car covers, which, Corvette covers. I think every sports vehicle manufacturer makes a cover. And I have seen that in other, I'm just bringing this up as a
if
point
a
of
ve-
suggestion.
That would count as it's being screened.
A car, so a car cover, if 2 people are married,
If
they
you
don't have a
if you
garage, and they
cover
each
on a
have
car
Corvettes, they
And it
could,
is screened from view, there is no way to tell whether it is inspected or uninspected, or registered or uninspected.
so car cover would,
Without taking legal actions to get a search warrant to go onto the property, you cannot validate that. And we would lose every time.
So technically, if somebody had 10 vehicles, they could cover
If you
them
had
all
10
up?
vehicles on your lot and you had 10 car covers on them, and there is no way for the city to take any action because we cannot legally validate that those cars are unregistered or uninspected.
Okay,
so you've gone down this road,
I have gone down that road before.
okay?
So the public record of registration would not apply, even though we can validate whether it's registered, we can validate whether it's
If
inspected.
you have to be able to see what it is.
How can you see what it is to say you have to?
And we can't go on their property to lift it up.
Cover
to-
Well, you can look it up in a database by
No,
address.
no, we can't look it up in a database either.
Can't get car
That's
registrations in
only
this
law
state.
enforcement or the city clerks can do
No,
that.
that's,
We can't do that.
That's okay,
Public
that's okay,
information
it's
in
a
this
start, it's a start.
So if you had,
But that's if they register it under Party Time Rentals LLC.
Yeah.
So,
so the only way we can validate is the sticker on the vehicle of the registration and the inspection sticker. That's all we're allowed to do in land use.
And one other thing, Rob, and it probably won't happen within a few years, but I suspect maybe in our lifetime it will. Every session, there's been a bill, or every year there's been a bill to do away with inspection stickers in the state of New Hampshire on vehicles. I think it's only a matter of time before that happens. So right now, there's 34 states in the country that do not require inspection stickers. So they keep bringing it up, and if that was to happen, what would that do? What would happen here?
I think we would be in the same issue that we're having right now.
Let's get those fences and shrubs up, the covers on in the meantime, I guess. Okay,
Mr. Chair,
yes, Mike.
can I speak, please?
Oh, please do.
First, Ms. Benner. God bless you. I saw that little house next to Axel's place, and I wondered if one of his kids might have lived there or something, because of the stuff next door. But I feel like this is to persecute one person, actually, this requirement. What if you have a plow truck, you never drive it on the road, it's not inspected, and you have a sports car that you're working on that's not quite complete? You're illegal. I think we're turning good people into lawbreakers by requiring an inspection sticker on a car. The transmission's bad on your car. You're gonna fix it someday, but you can't drive it to get it inspected. It's registered. It's a roadworthy car with a $2,000 transmission, but it's not inspected because you can't drive it at this current time. You're turning this guy into a lawbreaker. I have the floor, Gil.
Yeah, no,
Want everybody to consider you have a plow truck and a sports car, and you're breaking the law. Please don't require inspection stickers. Please do not. Please knock it out. You drive down Mechanic Street, you look on the porch, there's junk, toys, garbage, all kinds of stuff on the front porch, 10 feet from the road. We can't do anything about that. Why are you picking on a car without an inspection sticker? Okay, Gil.
Actually, no, I'm gonna actually disagree with you.
Wait a second. Does everybody else have anything to say before? Go ahead, Scott.
Why do you have to repair the car in the front yard?
You don't.
Then we wouldn't be having this discussion. Do it somewhere discreet. My neighbors are interesting, but
Nice
they're
and loud,
not that
nice.
interesting.
Speak up.
So, I mean, and with the shrubs and the fences, those are already in place and our ordinance as it exists. I could go home, park all my stuff in the back, screen it from view, and I'm good to go. Sometimes people choose the path forward for themselves.
Sometimes people, what, I'm sorry.
Choose their own path forward.
We got you, okay. Go ahead.
And you talk about an unregistered plow truck. I have one in the neighborhood, and the guy plows everybody in the neighborhood. So the issue is now, I've almost hit him twice, spoke to him, and it's just a big joke. So,
Why is,
Your driveway.
no, but that's, yeah.
wait a minute,
That's the
wait a
issue.
minute. First of all, do the mic because it's hard to hear. So you've have somebody plow in the neighborhood and you've spoken to him about what?
Non-registration.
Also, he's driving
An
around.
Uninspected truck in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
That it's a beater plow truck, and that's fine, but he's driving on a city street, and, no light, backs up into the road and back and forth, and you gotta avoid him all the time. And he's another one that's, the last plow truck died, and now it's in the yard, so we bought another one.
He's gonna use parts off the other truck on the new truck.
Well, that's all kinds of stuff going on there, it sounds like.
There's incidences everywhere you look. Scott, across the street from your house, a guy has a sailboat in his front driveway. That's against the rules, but who cares?
You'd be surprised.
If I may just add a couple things. I think that's a very important statement, Mike, is who cares? And I think that we should be looking at our community and what do we want to be? I'm asking you. Like, what do you, when you look out your window, what is your vision for Laconia? Do you want to see every house, every property in the city of Laconia with unregistered vehicles? Do you want them to have plow trucks and boats in their front yard? Is that what your vision is? And I think that should be important for us at the planning board as we are creating a vision for Laconia. Is that what we want our vision to be?
Well, I'm on the planning board because I'm out to make Laconia a nicer place. I've been here 10 years almost, and it doesn't seem like I'm getting a lot of nicer out of it. But I feel that you're requiring this inspection sticker to persecute one person. And you're making lawbreakers out of many more people.
We have multiple properties we are trying to bring into compliance. I don't think that you probably realize the amount of work my staff does downstairs and working with property owners and going into compliance. It is an everyday job for Scott, every single day, working with multiple people every single day. It's the code department working with multiple people every single day. We probably get 20 complaints every single day about anything and everything. And should we just ignore those and not do anything? Or should we be trying to make Laconia better? And I would say that I think we're doing the right thing by trying to make the city better. I think that's my vision for Laconia, is to look great. When I want people to come to my community, I want them to be like, wow, Laconia is the place I want to be. I don't want people coming to Laconia and say, that's a great junkyard.
One
Go ahead,
question
Gail.
for Rob. Does this all zones?
This would be for every single parcel in the city of Laconia.
Okay, so like I said, but there are carve-outs for agricultural exceptions and boat storage. We know that there are other
There's
pieces
other
of this
regulations within the
other
ordinance that
regulations.
govern other things.
That's okay.
So this is residential, not commercial?
So in this, you'll see that we have a residential accessory use and a non-residential accessory use. So we are trying for this for both things. There are exceptions if you are a junkyard, if you are a dealership, if you are a vehicle inspection station, there are different requirements for you.
Toll lot?
If you're a tow lot and you have things coming in, there's different things because you're working through different requirements. This is for homeowner Joe Schmo or Daisy Duke, whatever her name is, whatever the property is, you can only have one, and that matches state law. And it's the same for every other business that would have vehicles on the lot.
But this is specifically not for dealerships, car mechanics that have a registered business.
Yep.
Repairing cars, towing cars, stuff like that. I mean, there's a line there, the difference.
Yes, we're talking about, yes, there's businesses that have a practice and a car comes in uninspected or unregistered, and we're not like.
Or a tow lot.
Or a tow lot. This is not about them.
Okay. I just want to be sure about
I
that.
believe their site plan would cover that anyway.
Yep.
So they would be unaffected if they're breaking their site plan.
And all those businesses that have those functions, those lots are screened. They already follow and go above these rules for the most part. There's some that don't, that have been there since the dawn of time.
Well,
that
because it's
there's
not.
some exceptions.
Yeah.
But anybody new that comes in, they follow these new standards. It's not, we're not singling anybody out. This is across the board. And it's not one property in the city that is the only issue.
Okay. Any other questions or commentary?
What else can I say to stress my point?
I don't know. But if you say it, make sure we can hear it.
Help me, Charlie.
Well, listen, I had sent a note over to Mike here, and I said I wasn't in favor of the inspection stuff. But I do see a way, again, to mitigate that with fences, covers, shrubbery. If you're determined you're gonna have stuff like that, I guess you can
Do you want to be
mitigate
a collector of these things or have those things? What is the right amount that you want on the lot? And at what point do you say you need to put the rest in storage? You need to put the rest in a garage. you need to put a fence around it. You need to put some shrubbery up.
That's the two, yeah, because that's a good alternative. Putting up a garage isn't necessarily a
I mean,
good
there,
alternative.
there are other options. All we're saying is,
Do
you
something.
do something with it so that everybody else doesn't have to look at it. And I think that's pretty fair. And I think if you had 5 and I was your neighbor, that's pretty fair for me. And if I was your neighbor and I had 40 junk cars in my front yard, having a fence around it is pretty fair for you too, because it's not gonna hurt your property values.
But if they weren't registered and inspected, they wouldn't be legal anyhow. That doesn't matter if you can't see them.
But, no.
They would not be legal. They
no,
would,
no, they
it would be a lawbreaker.
No, it would be legal in this because it can't be seen. Am I correct
But
in
they
that?
still
But
have to
you're
be
only allowed
registered
one?
and inspected.
Everybody is allowed one. Everybody is allowed one.
That's a state.
That's a state law that says you're allowed one. And we're just saying, we agree with that. If you wanna have more than one, shield them.
Right, and so the state has already made the rule, so it's not the city doing that, and the city's giving, I think,
I mean,
an option now to,
if you wanna have those, it's not that much to put a fence around it, or to put it in a garage, or to plant some.
I like the cover idea in the meantime.
Mike's position here with the registration, I'm sorry, with the inspection sticker. I agree with you 1,000% on the unregistered vehicles. I think that has the potential to exponentially be
I
a
am merely
nightmare.
here at the will of the board, and
Well, I'm just one board member, and
I
I'm
have-
telling you that I'm inclined to
and-
agree with Mike's position on this as far as
no, I'm just
inspection
trying to
stickers go.
protect the residents that come in, so.
Well, I don't know how this vote's gonna go. I suspect it's gonna pass, but even if it did pass, I believe the city council can take its own course, I think.
We are merely the first step.
Yeah.
It still has to go to city council for public hearing.
And I think the city council can override this group and do their own thing. Seems to me I've witnessed that in the past, so.
Oh, yeah.
Which is fine. I want to, go ahead, Amy, and then I want to do something else.
I just have a real quick, I just want to clarify, if I may. You're allowed one, and it has to be hidden.
In the rear of the
It's
yard.
not that you're,
No, if you have.
that's what
only-
it says.
That is.
Even if you
correct.
have one, it has to be.
If you're repairing it, it has to be in the rear of the yard. It can't be in the front of your driveway in disrepair.
So only if it's being repaired, it has to be
Not
hidden?
more than one, no.
So, okay,
So you can have one.
everyone is allowed
Can't have
one.
Everyone's
Okay,
allowed
but
one.
Scott, you're saying you can't.
Scott,
Put up with.
Scott, you're allowed to have one.
Okay, so.
Okay, so you're
if I-
allowed to have one there, that,
So I'm allowed to have one vehicle that's unregistered and/or uninspected.
Yep.
But I cannot, even if I fenced my entire yard, I can't have more than one, correct?
If it's fenced, you can have the more than one.
Does it say that?
So, no, it doesn't say that, it doesn't technically say that. So are you saying that we should have?
Should we table this and come back to it when it does say? If that's what the board is looking for, the potential of having a way around it,
a way to mitigate it.
then I think,
If that's what-
and if that was your intention in the first place,
All right,
if it was that your intention or was that not your intention?
my intention is not to have unregistered vehicles on lot. But
Un-
the only thing we
uninspected.
have changed in here is the words that are highlighted in black and underlined. So there has been no other change, and that's exactly what the RSA says.
So the
So-
RSA says exactly what this is.
Yes.
But, so it does not say you can have more than one.
No.
And that is what we are looking for, correct?
Is that what the planning board is looking for?
That's what I would be looking for personally.
Okay, so
Um,
if you have input and you want something
But I was
else,
just trying to clarify because some were saying that it was one vehicle and some were saying it was multiple vehicles if you covered them. So I was just
Yeah,
trying to
I didn't-
clarify.
And I appreciate you bringing it up, Amy, but I got the impression here that we were thinking if you had more than one, whatever it may be, if it was not in plain sight of the public, that would not be an issue.
That was how I was interpreting it as well. But if you want something else written, I will take anybody's suggestion.
I do have a suggestion. I did see in a statute that I looked at, is that anybody, was a clause in addition to this, is anyone that has more than X is the determining number, I don't know what X would be.
Yeah, go ahead, Gil, yeah.
More than X unregistered vehicles on their property is automatically constituted as a junkyard.
It is.
And because the issue becomes, if I live on Lafayette Street on a quarter-inch property and I throw up a fence, by the direct reading of what you've written here as far as number of vehicles, I could put 12 icky vehicles back there and be polluting what may or may not be something. And just because my neighbors can't see it, doesn't mean I'm not doing damage to what could potentially be groundwater, what could potentially be an environmental hazard over time, which is also a concern. So what I'm saying is I have seen this in just a couple of other laws with a definition of what our definition of a junkyard is, and then the number of vehicles unregistered on a particular property, more than X, and X, I don't know what X is the number, but more than X vehicles constitutes a junkyard, and then we reference our definition of what a junkyard is, and that would stop somebody from simply putting up a fence, but continuing to pollute, to have leaky oil and gas and things like that on what could be a sensitive property over a wetland or something like that. And it's just a suggestion, but I did some other ordinances and I saw that and I thought it was an interesting way to approach it.
Well, I don't think you can have a junkyard anywhere in the city.
Well, what I'm saying is if you define junkyard and if you put in the statute more than two, it automatically constitutes a
We've already-
junkyard,
that's
then
already-
you've got away, then you've got your relief.
That's already been defined, and we already say in our ordinance, more than one is a junkyard.
Oh, we do? Okay, well, I didn't read that in.
Because that's not what's changing tonight. It was just adding the,
Okay.
Jeez.
All right.
More than one vehicle unregistered is a
is a
junkyard?
junkyard. Yes, that's
Okay,
what state
then
law
that's-
says as well.
Okay. Okay, well, what is the pleasure of, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Ms. Bonner wanted to speak again.
She did. The public hearing, I'll reopen it at 7:43. Come on up. Just state your name again.
Cheryl Bonner.
Thank you.
I just wanted to comment on, is there an upper number that's a maximum?
I'm sorry?
Is there an upper number as to the maximum of vehicles on one property?
Well, I think a
This
lot of
is
that
overspoke
might have to do with the size of the property.
Well,
So if you've got 5 acres of property, there's probably a number that would fit that. I'm just thinking as a logical person right now. Whereas if I've got a house lot on a city street, I think, more than 3 or 4 vehicles might be a problem.
My concern is more along the line of what Mrs. Ober was speaking of. Each one of those vehicles that sits there after a period of time begin to leak motor oil
Well,
and gasoline,
That's if
other
they have.
lubricant materials.
But if I could just interject, that's if they have oil and gasoline in them.
Well, they all start with it.
Well, they do, but some of these vehicles could have been there so long that stuff is long gone.
Well,
So we
no,
don't-
it's not long gone.
But we-
It's
I don't want to
dissipated.
make any assumptions.
Okay, but my concern is it's gone into the soil, it's affected the water, the
Okay, but
aquifer,
again,
and that sort of
we're
thing.
making assumptions here, and unless somebody goes and, it's too much, but
Okay.
I get your point.
But my other question is there anywhere that says there's a maximum before you have to officially become a junkyard? And
Well,
you said that.
apparently it's more than one.
State law says if you have more than one, you need to be a junkyard and licensed for it. So, if you,
Does the state require, there's a lot of state laws like that the state does not enforce, they leave it up to the cities and towns to enforce.
They inspect licensed junkyards.
I'm sorry?
you need a
Inspect
license,
licensed
you need a
junkyards.
license to operate. a junkyard.
Again, they do, but I'm going back to the city to enforce it or to notify the state we have a problem. So I'm asking, does the city do that now?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask you one question, Rob?
Of course, Gail.
Is there
I'm
is there, in the course of enforcing the regulation that we have now on the books, is there a problem that you have been made aware of the way our ordinance is worded?
Yes, which is why I have made the change that I have made.
And these changes, specifically the underlying changes and the changing, taking out or and including and, are those particular sticking points that you have been told are the problem in enforcing this ordinance as it sits right now?
Yes.
And was that specific to uninspected, or was it loophole?
The problem is, it's the loophole.
So you're trying to close a loophole?
Yes.
Did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
No, sir.
Can I just
Okay.
ask one question, since you're the public at tonight's meeting? Do you agree or disagree with this statement? Not more than one currently unregistered and uninspected vehicle shall be parked on any lot. Such vehicles should be kept out of the view of the public and abutters by means of storage inside or a permanent structure, or by suitable fencing, or by trees or shrubbery sufficient to block visual access year-round, and not to be disassembled in any manner. In other words, are you in favor of what I've just read, or are you against that?
Personally, I think the one is kind of small. If you're a sports car aficionado, you may have multiple sports cars, not all of which are necessarily in most operative manner. But if they're in your backyard and they're undercover, or they're in a garage or in a storage facility, it doesn't really matter. That doesn't present a problem because they're not offensive, I guess is a way of putting it. But if it says one, it's one. I mean, I could see that number being something else. My concern is the other end of the scale, as to at what point do you say, whoa, stop, you're way beyond what we feel is,
Oh, okay, that's a valid point, and maybe, in spite of what the state says, maybe the city might wanna increase the number, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out, maybe 4 cars or something like that, where, it's just a thought, Rob, not saying anything different, just.
If you, as the board, want to make that change, that's you wanting to make that change.
maybe you should say no more than such a number
That's
per acre.
Yeah.
And that way, you'll limit, at least on an acreage basis, a certain number. So if
That
you
seems,
have,
if I had 10 acres, that would seem reasonable.
yes. And then you could have, that number of vehicles on each acre or something of that nature. But when you're talking about residential lots, which are many times less than an acre,
Quite
or
often, yep.
that sort of thing, then, you really should have a number. I think 1 is perhaps rather strict, but the problem is the upper number and the fact that they come in and they never go out.
Right. Well, I guess the only.
Okay, wait.
All right.
So are you all set?
Yes, sir.
I don't want you to have to stand up there. Thank you again very much for coming forward. We'll close the public comment again at 7:49. Go ahead, Gail.
Well, I believe registrations are tied to a calendar year, according to our birthdays in the state of New Hampshire. Happy birthday. What I'm saying is inspection, you cannot inspect an unregistered vehicle. So in other words, an unregistered vehicle is ultimately going to time out on inspection anyway, because it cannot be inspected in the state of New Hampshire unless it is registered. This is why I wouldn't support this if it had the "and" uninspected. If you were to change the word back to "or" and add the screening, which really doesn't make a lot of change to the ordinance, I'm just saying by the nature of what a car is, how it's registered and inspected in the state of New Hampshire, an uninspected car has, an unregistered car has a time limit on its registration. I mean, on its inspection.
Very good point.
So at some point, it gets to become an unvehicle. It's unregistered, it's uninspected.
What, you said something about screening?
Well, this, one of the additions to what our current ordinance is and kept
Shrubbery
out of
or
view,
fence.
that's the
Okay,
screening.
out of
That's
view,
my
all right,
generality
okay.
for screening, whatever.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Anybody else have anything? You've been very quiet, sir. Did you have any comments on this? Drag you
No, I'm
into
just
this?
thinking through it.
I have one last.
Okay, Amy, go ahead.
Just real quick, so it didn't change all that much. I mean, this is our ordinance now, other than the fact that it has to be inspected as well. And it was always one, correct?
It has always been one because it matches the junkyard ordinance that we have.
Okay.
And that you would have to be licensed to be a junkyard, which matches the state law.
Okay.
But we are at the mercy of the board. If the board would like to make something that makes them happy, I will do what makes them happy.
So
I personally
accommodating.
I don't have any issues against this.
The way it is now?
That's my own.
The-
I understand I'm not in the,
No, but
I have zero problem with how it's written.
I mean, how it's proposed.
Correct.
I thought earlier you said you wanted to make it more vehicles, no?
No, I don't want them to have more vehicles.
Okay, I misunderstood that.
No, I was just trying to get clarification that
Well,
I had heard that it might be, but it's not how it's written, so it's not more vehicles. I think that's me, sorry.
I agree with Amy in that somewhere we've got to draw the line. And I'm a guy, I have an unregistered, uninspected antique Jeep sitting in a garage that you can't see.
Sitting in the garage.
And I have trailers, backhoe, you name it, they're all registered and in behind the house. So it's a matter of working, I guess, to keep your neighbors happy and the city looking nice. That I don't have any junk stuff out front, so I agree with this. I think you have to draw a line and put some teeth in this somewhere in order to enforce it.
any
Ready for the
comments?
vote.
I'm sorry?
Ready for the vote.
Mr. Chair,
Well, I think a motion has to be made.
All right, go ahead,
first.
Mike. We'll
one
do-
more time, please. I race cars. I smash up a lot. I have 3 race cars, 1 running, 2 are parts cars. They're not in the city of Laconia, but I'm not going to tell you what town they are in. My wife wouldn't let me keep them at the house, believe me. Adding the uninspected makes a lawbreaker out of me. I don't think we should do that. If somebody's willing to register a car, if it's not operable, keep it out of sight. You know, Roller Coaster Road, that guy has cars right up on the edge of the road. It's like you could open your car door and hit the car. You know, that should be cleaned up. But I just cannot agree with having a uninspected car makes you a lawbreaker.
I'm not sure that's what it's saying. It's saying that if you have it, you should keep it out of sight.
Yeah, just screen it. I race cars too.
I built one in my driveway once.
One at a time, so.
I don't
If
race
it's
cars.
kept out of sight, what's the problem?
I concur with that. And what I'm a little disillusioned at is if you have more than one, but apparently that's a state law, but I know the state, as a matter of fact, does not enforce that. They leave it up to the cities and towns to do that, to the best of my knowledge.
We still enforce junkyards if you have more than So
We,
you're
when
still-
you say we, you mean the city.
the city.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
You
So-
still meet that junkyard definition regardless.
Right. If you have more than one.
Yep.
Can I just clarify
So,
something?
let me just ask one more question before I lose my train of thought. So if somebody on Oak Street or Pleasant Street had 4 vehicles, 3 of them that they were working on for whatever reason, and it was gonna take them out, that would be technically a junkyard? And would the city then say, this is not an area where junkyards are permitted?
The city doesn't permit junkyards anywhere except for an industrial zone.
Okay.
which is where the only
So what happens
licensed
to that
junkyard is in the
property
city.
owner then that is working on 3 vehicles during the season when you can work on them outside, for whatever reason? They can't do that?
Yeah, but they can't do that anyways.
I'm just asking, so they can't do that anywhere in the city?
They can't do that, they wouldn't be able to do that anyways,
Anywhere? In the
in
city?
the city.
In the city, okay.
Yeah, that,
So-
that's
but the
regardless of
city
whether this
doesn't-
law was,
But the city doesn't go out looking for that stuff.
the city doesn't go out and look for any of these issues.
Right, so it
We
would
only
really.
act upon complaints.
Right. So if somebody was a good neighbor with their neighbors, more
And the
than
city wouldn't
likely-
take any enforcement action on somebody unless somebody complained.
Okay, that's
And,
important.
and that's the standard that city council has set for us.
Right, and that's,
So we don't go actively searching for people to write up.
okay,
The
so
moral
that,
of the story is be nice neighbors.
say that again?
The moral of the story is to be a nice neighbor.
Well, isn't that the truth of everything? Go ahead, I'm sorry, thank you.
In dealing with another city in a previous residence, having a car that I ran at White Mountain Motorsport, just like Mike says, 2 square junkyards or junk cars in the back for parts. The legality there is that is not a street legal car that requires licensing or inspection. And as long as you can cover it, there's not an issue anything they can do about that.
Yes, I have a question for Mike. What's the worst case scenario you're picturing here? Just saying lawbreaker. I mean, if I park too long over here, I break the law. But like, what's the worst case scenario that you're fearing? Like, if I understand that, maybe I can back you up on this. But I'm not. It seems to be the worst case scenario. You have to put a top over your car, maybe.
But if, that's where I guess I'm getting lost in this. If I have 3 vehicles and they're all covered,
Then how would I know that they're uninspected or unregistered?
gotcha. You hear that out there in La La Land? If they're covered, they're covered. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, to Lewis's extent, we had a almost worst-case scenario today. We had a vehicle parked in the right-of-way. A child ran out from behind said vehicle and was almost hit. The neighbor called to complain. The owner of the property, too much stuff in their driveway, didn't have room for the vehicle, which may or may not have been inspected or registered anyway. But the child's safety is the ultimate.
When you say the right of way, you mean in the street?
It was right on the sidewalk.
Oh, in the sidewalk?
Because-
The car was parked on the sidewalk?
Because their driveway is full of unregistered vehicles.
So the car was parked on the sidewalk?
My
Yes.
question
Okay.
was worst case scenario from Mike's perspective. I think you're supporting the law. That's
Say that again, you gotta,
the worst case scenario from Mike's perspective is what I was asking for.
okay. But he
I
got
think
covers on it.
that one just another point to support the law.
Yeah.
I'm asking for devil's advocate
The
here.
counter, yep.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, we've spent enough time on this that when it does get to the city council, they won't have to spend as much time on it. And we've done the legwork here for them. So, any last comments? So I would entertain,
Richard had one last comment, I think.
I'm sorry?
No?
No?
Oh, I thought you had was up.
No, he made his comment. That's correct, I have, yeah, but they're all registered. He's asking about the vans in my yard. I'm sorry? I didn't answer that. No, they're all registered and inspected, believe me, as much as I hate to do it, but I do. The inspection part. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion for this. Gotta have a motion, kids, if we're gonna vote on it.
I'll make a motion to approve how do you want me to say this?
Make a motion to adopt and forward to city council for adoption, for possible adoption.
That's what I said.
Second.
said.
Thanks.
Is there a second?
I did.
Rich did.
Okay, so any more discussion?
Further discussion.
Go ahead, Mike.
I just encourage you all to think of the car guys and gals before you vote on this crazy, unenforceable ordinance.
I guess what I would say is that there are ways to mitigate this. I like the cover idea. That's easy, right? That's easy.
If you value it, you want to take care of it.
I
And some
think-
people don't have garages.
Right. Agreed. And I think that, I don't know what's gonna happen down the road if the inspection thing disappears, but I guess that they can answer that at the time. And I think the fact that, I know for a fact that the people downstairs don't patrol just to patrol. It does take a complaint to generate interest, and I think that's very reasonable. And I think the department downstairs, or departments, know when the complaints are legit, or if it's just somebody harassing somebody, because we know that happens too. So if I was gonna vote on this, that would probably lean me to support it, just on the thought that the departments downstairs do it fair and square. And again, I think the city council is gonna have their say with this. I know some of the councils are very passionate about this, and that's fine. Okay, we got a motion on the floor. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 in favor. Opposed? 2 people opposed. So noted. Rob, thank you very much. I know you guys have done a lot of work on this, but that's why you get the big money. And we appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Rob,
Okay.
the nice young lady who sit here patiently asked you about, what about boats?
So that will leave me, I think that was the last. I lost my agenda.
It is.
So, which leads me to my monthly report. I'll just go over that
Okay,
really quickly.
did that, yep.
We had our annual meeting for our Lakes Region Planning Commission. For those of you who may not know, Shanna Saunders, who used to be the planning director for the city of Laconia,
Yeah.
is the new executive director for Lakes Region Planning Commission.
Did she move?
No.
So, wait a minute.
So she still lives where she lived previously. She's just commuting up to Meredith now.
That woman likes to commute.
She must love to drive.
Yeah.
But I'm sure her car's is inspected and registered.
Being inspected doesn't mean anything. I can vouch for that. But anyway, that's another discussion.
Anyway, so then we had 3 other administrative reviews this month. We did not have any minor site plan applications. We had another downtown TIF meeting where we talked about doing a landscaping, comprehensive landscaping plan, and then working on an Adopt a Spot program and looking at completing a lighting project downtown. So we got some additional funding in our budget this year for downtown TIF, so we're gonna start working with our fabulous Parks and Rec director on some ideas for things, and then work with some contractors to see what some options are for possible enhanced lighting downtown. We had 5 applications go before zoning board this last month. All of them were approved.
Shocking.
Next month, I just want to point out, there are 3 applications going forward for chickens in the residential districts that we,
Where would those go? To zoning or to here?
those go to zoning. So, just so that you're aware, we have nothing in our ordinance that regulates chickens, and they are permitted in the rural residential districts such as RR1 and RR2 districts where we want those to be. That's highlighted in our master plan of where we want those to be. The issue is, the city about 10 years ago tried to adopt a chicken ordinance to allow chickens. And,
They chickened out.
and apparently thank you, Mike, they chickened out.
Who chickened out?
It did not make it through planning board or go to city council. It was not
So the planning board did not approve it?
correct.
Okay,
Remember the rooster in Lakeport?
vaguely.
Oh, I
So the issue, I just wanted to highlight, that there's sanitary issues and other issues associated with chickens, and we have no way of regulating or controlling the waste product that is left, and we would not be able to regulate whether anybody had roosters or the volume of animals that they have. And then we're not just permitting the ducks or the chickens, it's the agricultural use that we're now permitting with those applications. So I just wanted to highlight that to the board this evening, that was coming before zoning board
When
this
will
next
that,
month.
will that go to zoning and then come to planning?
No, it'll just go to zoning.
It'll just go to zoning, okay.
So,
Is that in the residential?
Yep, I think they're all multifamily properties.
Okay.
so currently they're not allowed. Does it specify if they have to be alive or not?
Yes, can they be dead
I
chickens?
wanna know, what's the language?
I would hope they would not be.
I have some in my freezer.
I mean, I like chicken nuggets, I mean, but,
Am I a lawbreaker? Cause I have some.
but.
Emotional support chicken?
Votes. So, moving on, we have been working on a lot of rewrites, and that is the next on the priority list. You all should have one of these little binders. There's 46 pages of enjoyment in there. Obviously, I don't want you to make any decisions on this tonight. It's 46 pages of pure delight. But I would encourage you to read them. These are some of the changes that we have worked on over the last several months. One of them is the performance zoning update. Updates to ADUs. Accessory dwelling unit.
Thank you.
And we have
Recreational vehicle update.
recreational vehicle update.
There it is.
Storage of recreational vehicle units?
Yes, so we have allowed recreational storage units.
That would be boats.
That would be boats and
Campers.
campers and four-wheelers and snowmobiles and utility vehicles and all those things. So this one, unlike the unregistered or uninspected vehicles, there's no state law that has any sort of number requirement. So I have picked a number out of thin air after talking to other people. Amy,
We were
Because
keeping
some-
that on the DL.
oh, sorry. Because it's important to recognize that we are a tourist community that enjoys winter activities, water activities. And the real issue is how much of that do we want to allow on the lot? And then after what number should people move to a storage location that is not in a residential property?
Saying on the lot or visible from the road, in other words, it used to be okay to put your mobile home behind your house, but not on the side of your house, or.
We still have that in there, but the real issue is the number. Since we don't regulate a number. And so you could have an accessory use of keeping these and have 40 boats on your lot. And there is no size number that allows me to regulate that to make you move them to a storage location. Or for me to say that after a certain amount, you're no longer an accessory use, you're a primary use of boat storage. And once you've reached that primary use of the boat storage, you need to come for a conditional use permit of how you're gonna store that. And thus giving the planning board the ability to say, listen, you can have the boats, but you need to have fencing, you need to have screening, you need to have this, you need to that, they need to be in a parking lot, they need to be whatever. So that's what we've trying to attempt to fix with this, is you'll see that except as approved as a primary use, not more than 5 recreational vehicle units may be stored on any lot. Said units must be stored in the side or rear yards and be kept out of view from the public and abutters on at least 3 sides by any means of storage inside a structure, by suitable fencing, or by trees and shrubbery sufficient to block visual access year-round and must not be disassembled in any manner. All recreational vehicles must be stored on the property, must be registered and inspected if required under state law. Because some do not require that inspection, some do. And we're just saying that if state law says you have to, then you have to.
Canoe doesn't require that, does it?
If there's a motor on it.
Oh, I never even think about motors on canoes, Mike, so sorry. Just the regular canoe would
And
not
then-
require that, right?
But we also wanted to recognize that, there's you might have 2 jet skis, because you have one for your spouse, or one for your child, and one for yourself. And that might be on a trailer, so we don't want to double count that, so we added in, for the purposes of this section, a recreational vehicle unit is defined as a personal watercraft, snowmobile, all-terrain vehicle, utility trailer, travel trailer, campers, watercraft, snowmobiles, or all-terrain vehicles shall be considered one vehicle, hold on, I lost track of where I am. Watercraft, snowmobiles, or all-terrain vehicles stored on a single utility trailer shall only be considered one recreational vehicle unit.
No, that's good. That makes
So it gives you that wiggle room of, I've got 2 4-wheelers, or 2 of this, or 2 of that, but I'm storing it on one trailer, so I'm gonna count that
Or you
once.
got 4 kids and you got all 4 of them on one trailer. Yeah, that's good.
So,
That's good.
so we picked 5 because it seemed to make sense, where 5 units per lot. So you could have a camper, you could have a boat, you could have a 4-wheeler, you could have a camper and a utility trailer, and that would be fine.
Does it count golf carts?
Who said something? You can't do that. You can't whisper from back there, so you gotta come back up to the mic if you're gonna ask something.
And you know, when most of us are old and deaf.
Doesn't matter, we have
A golf cart.
yeah, we have a public watching and they need to hear, so go ahead.
Does it count golf carts? You didn't list that.
I did not list that.
Another valid question, thank you.
That's probably a valid question there. And that, you know, we didn't think about golf carts.
Oh, you've got
But-
golfers.
But that golfing's a serious business, I got that. So we could add golf carts in there, but this is a lot to consume in one evening. So I want you to kind of take it home and read it and chalk it up and give me your input back.
This could be a 2-month process.
I feel like it could be a 2-month, it could be a 3-month, it could be, but I feel like it was important to get this in front of the board so we could at least get input and move things forward. Because this is another very important topic. Because right now, it is impossible to regulate. If I am somebody and I have 40 boats on my property, there's nothing I can do about that because it's your accessory use to your residential.
How is that residential?
I agree, but we don't have that cutoff number of what makes it now a primary use. And this is what we're doing with that.
Because when, you know, my neighbor's got 18 boats in there, or trailers now, but boats in the winter, that's a commercial storage facility.
I agree, and that's why we've got this like this, because before, we could not do anything. And, I asked legal, I said, can we set a limit? And they said, you sure can.
Well,
And
let's say you set a limit, and your neighbor wants to keep the 18 boats there. What can the neighbor do to accommodate that? Would they have to?
they could apply for a variance.
Yeah.
A variance, they would have to do that, correct?
If they don't screen it, if I've read that right?
Yep.
Well, no, even if,
Well-
even if they screened it,
Even
they,
so, how do they do that when somebody is paying them to store their boat there? That's a commercial endeavor.
That's commercial business, right.
Well, I think you could do that in the definitions of what boat storage, commercial boat storage is, and have a number. Again, that number X, be it 5, 10, however many.
And we regulate that even in a commercial aspect of
Right.
how many boats do we allow on a,
I know that.
on a lot. So this is no different than what we do for any other residential or commercial use.
that's a valid point, what you said about that. And that's something that should be looked at, because that is a commercial endeavor, if that's what's going on. And the city should, be able to regulate that like any other commercial enterprise that's taking place, because that's only fair to protect the public.
That was a stipulation we put in a building that came in front of us fairly recently. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would affect
And
a
it's
lot of
just,
stuff.
that's a tough one to enforce, because when he closes the garage doors without a search warrant, how do you prove what's in there?
All right, so we're gonna, thank you again, Rob, this is a lot of work,
Yep,
so.
and I also, so, before you jump the gun, I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing?
Well, I wanna go back to your monthly report.
Oh, well, in here, we have redone the proposed table of uses. And we have added some stuff in, and we have fixed some language. And we think that there might have been some mistakes that made it through on the table of uses. So I would challenge you to take a look and to really analyze what these uses are in each of these districts, because I don't think that has been done for a long time. So it is very important as we move
Was this
forward.
a test to find the mistakes?
You know, you say mistakes.
Well, you said there was some
I
mistakes.
don't know if they're
so-
mistakes. It could be, everybody's got a different perspective on land use.
Okay.
What is the yellow?
The yellow are changes we've made.
Okay.
Oh, and Rich, we did add in there, very important, we added in solar arrays. Since currently we don't even have anything about solar. So this would enable us to allow residential units to have legal solar panels on there.
Can I push us back up the monthly report?
Sure.
Did you mention the impact fees and sidewalks? I don't,
So I had not got there yet, but yes. So rules and procedures, we just scheduled that, we just adopted that. Impact fees, so I had talked to Kirk about reallocating our renovation fund for the planning department and to put that towards an impact fee. And right now we have an RFP written. We've reached out to several vendors to let them know that we will be going out to bid. And we expect to have our bid posted in the next 7 to 12 days for impact fees.
okay. And what about sidewalks?
So sidewalks will be analyzed during that impact fee study, is what we're looking to do.
Explain further. Sidewalks,
So that sidewalks in the future, we could potentially collect an impact fee for,
a separate impact fee?
a separate impact fee just for sidewalks on every project that comes in to be placed into a fund for sidewalks.
If we take a fund, an impact fee for sidewalks, does that mean that the developer would not be putting sidewalks in, or would not be required
Correct.
to put sidewalks
Yep.
in? Because that money would go into a major fund that the city then would be going back
And
and
the city
putting
would
that?
build out the sidewalk, would continue to build out the sidewalks. So
Okay,
if you had a project come in on 123 Blueberry Lane, making up a number, and the sidewalk was the project was coming in down here, and there was no sidewalks leading to it, but there were sidewalks down, you could start continuing on where the sidewalks terminated to push those further down.
but 123 Blueberry Lane would be paying into the impact fee the actual cost of if the sidewalk was being put in front of 123 Blueberry Lane.
Yep.
There'd be no deviation from that.
Nope.
Can they opt to put the sidewalk?
Can they what?
Can they choose to put the sidewalk to avoid the fee?
So I think we would have to work that if we wanted to allow that, and however we re-adopt the impact fees to make that. So if that's something the board would like to do, that's something that we should investigate when the analysis comes back, once the impact fee is done, then impact fee study is done.
Do you see that being, people doing that, maybe?
I don't know.
I can see that.
I could imagine. they
A
want
developer
sidewalk.
on site, his staff,
Yeah.
first movers.
They would
It's
rather
cheaper
put
for
the
them to
side,
build a sidewalk than it is to pay the fee, probably.
because it might cost them less to put the sidewalk in?
Do it, if they did
Yeah.
it
Do it
in-house when they're
themselves,
there,
yeah.
very definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could that be worded in such a way that it's like you could do either
So-
or, and at the discretion
We-
of the
we already-
planning board? In
we-
other words, we could.
We haven't got that far yet.
Okay, all right.
So this is just a study. So we gotta wait for it might not even be
I get it.
plausible to do.
Okay.
But we won't know that till the study's done.
Any idea when that would be done, on the
Um,
sidewalks?
I don't know.
So in the meantime, it would be business as usual for how
It would
we
be,
approach that?
currently, it would be business, we would maintain a business as normal
Okay,
approach to it until hopefully that comes, and then whatever we move forward with adoption-wise, whether that's the course we take, or that's not what we wanna do, we wanna keep doing it the way we do it, and then we amend whatever regulations we need to amend to be the vision we want.
okay. Okay, is that it?
Also in here, we have casinos. if you want to take a look at that. And we did some definition updates. That's under the AD, as we discovered the issues that we discovered definition-wise correlate to the section that the update is in. So if there was issues with definitions that stemmed from ADUs, the definitions that we are updating are at the top of that one. If it's under energy for solar, it's under that one. So they're tied to the specific region of the update. Yeah, there's a lot in there. So hopefully you can take a look at it and give us some feedback. So
2 to 3 months, I'm thinking, for sure.
Is this on the agenda would you like this on the agenda for next month or 2 months out, or?
So I don't know if we should schedule a public hearing for next month, because I feel like this is an incredible amount to go through.
So in other words, we should have like one more work session?
But I feel like I don't want what happened tonight of we get to a point where we're scheduling for public hearing, but there's a lot of issues with something.
No, this is gonna
So-
be at least 2 months.
But I would like input back.
Should we just email you directly with input?
I feel like it'd be easier if you just email me and I'll compile everything, and then we can kick all that out to everybody. And that way we can also post it online for all the residents to take a look at and to provide their comment.
I'm thinking maybe November, schedule a public hearing in November. That'll give us, wait a minute, July, or, no.
We don't
I'm
meet
sorry.
again until what, August?
About November yet?
August, September, October. That could give you 3 months to work
October.
something out.
October or November, one of the two. I don't want to put a deadline on it, because it's
And,
just
and
too
we don't
much.
have to do them all at once.
Say, can we do them one at a time?
You could do one at a time. We've written a lot, there's a lot to read, but if you read through in order and you're like, oh, the performance zoning one,
Well, just the casinos alone, I mean, there's just so many things there, so, but you're right, it should be one at a time.
Yeah.
There's too many, so.
doing this
again, I'll
whole
go
thing at
back
once
to-
would be a lot.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Chair, that the only way you could probably get away with that would to allow time for it to be digested, and then schedule a work session planning board meeting where we don't, where we work, but we're not holding public hearings or anything like that. I know we don't like to meet twice a month, but that may have to be, if it's this vast, I mean,
Well,
it may have to be a
it
possibility.
may have to be that if nobody gets their commentary into him, and it may have to be that if we're trying to get this done in 2 months, but I don't see that happening anyway. So, anything else in that, Rob?
No, that's all I had.
Okay, so, any other questions? If not, we'll move on to liaison reports. Anybody here from the Lakes Region Planning Commission? Thank you, out there.
Thank you,
for
good
coming.
luck.
Conservation Commission?
I haven't been to their most recent meetings. I was,
So I think that they've been working on, there's a Gale Ave
Right.
project that they have been working with DPW and Parks on. I think there is an ongoing debate about what the plans look like, and I think they're still working through.
End of the road, end of the street?
Yeah, I think they're still working through different opinions on that.
Are they still meeting twice a month?
They are still meeting twice a month.
Is that gonna change?
We have not approached it with them.
Well, I would recommend it if they want somebody from this board to be there, because, from what I've observed and from what I've been told, it's a lot.
What I would, you say that, and what I feel like would be very beneficial to me would be if the board would vote on that, that they would make the recommendation that conservation consider going to one meeting a month.
would you have a recommendation in terms of vis-à-vis our planning boards and zoning boards? Would you have a recommendation as to what week of the month that would be?
I think their second meeting of the month is the most beneficial meeting to have.
Because that would be when the CUPs,
Yeah, and that would give us the opportunity for them to get, the CUPs would automatically go to the Conservation Commission meeting, and then they would be follow up right with the planning board meeting right after.
Okay, so when would that, exactly, when is that? Be specific.
Is it,
Wednesdays is when they
So
meet,
the third
Wednesday.
Wednesday
I think
of
it's,
the
that would
month?
be the third Wednesday of the
Third,
month.
okay, third Wednesday. I'll entertain a motion right now on this. we can move along.
I make a motion, Conservation Commission meets once a month on the third Wednesday of month at a meeting time to be determined by them between, I don't know, 4 and 7 p.m. I mean,
Well, to be-
sometimes they move it around.
To be
but-
determined by them. Is there a second on that?
I'll second
It's been
that.
seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. 6 in the affirmative. Thank you very much. Okay, that's done.
On that vein, do you have an update for us from them or anybody with your new conservation technician person? Where do we stand on the milfoil? I mean, you don't have to get into a whole big thing, but I mean.
That's good,
So-
because we don't have time, so.
Yeah.
'cause
But
I'm trying to move this
do you have
along here.
anything to say about that? I mean, I
So,
keep reading about it in the newspapers.
They're working with the contractor. I think they're posting where they're doing I can't remember, the two treatments up there on, Pickerel Pond Cove and the other cove. So they're doing the postings for that, so that they're working with the contractor on dates to go out, and they were waiting on the final budget to be approved by city council, which it has been. So how they work out that $50,000 of where it gets spent on which parts of the lake, of which lakes is something they're kind of finalizing.
Okay, and the cyanobacteria stuff is gonna, your conservation technician is gonna start taking the point on that, or?
Yep, so Gray, our new conservation tech, he went out, I think it was last week and probably even the week before, on some tributary testing, and I think he even did some deep water testing out in Paugus, on Paugus Bay.
Oh, that's great.
So, and I think that the cyanobacteria warning was lifted, was that last week? Last Friday or the week before? So, things are looking good.
Better.
But better. Obviously, there's other things that we should be concerned about environmentally, and I think those are things that the Conservation Commission is exploring as well. One of those being they have concerns with the type and quantity of fertilizers that are being used, especially around the lake, and how that is impacting the water with all the additional phosphorus. So I think that's something that they're going to explore, is whether in our SPOD or around our drinking water supply area, we need to limit the type of fertilizers and the quantity of fertilizer that's allowed to be used on that shorefront area. Because obviously, as it rains, all of that fertilizer is going into our drinking water.
Can we do that by ordinance?
I think that there's some options. How we go about that, I am still unsure, but we're exploring that with them, and that could be something else coming. I wouldn't say it would be coming this
Soon,
year
yeah, I know.
because of how much goes into that, but those are things we're looking at.
Rob, I
Thank you.
thought that was already a thing with DES.
It is.
It's just not with the city?
It's just not with the city.
I see.
They post signs in Paugus Bay already recommending that, minimize the use of fertilizer on lawns and so on.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine that. People should know that already. Okay, anything else on that?
Does that answer
So
your
the-
question, Gail?
nobody's
Well,
here?
no, it does. I'm just curious in terms of, since I haven't been to the conservation, where we stand on, I know Amy has to monitor the beaches, but beyond that,
I think
there's been a lot of
I
press
think
about this in
our
the state.
superintendent,
That's all.
Ben Crawford, over the water department, is exceptionally vigilant.
Oh, yeah.
I have not actually spoken to him about it, but I would suspect it is on his mind.
Front and center.
Okay, there's nobody here from the city council, so we'll bypass them, and we've nothing to talk about the Historical District Commission because we are still waiting for something on that.
Yep, I finished these ones. that is on my agenda as well.
So we're looking at by the next meeting, you think? Or the meeting after? Or sometime, I think, it's not.
Soon. So there's, I had a meeting with the Heritage Commission, and they spoke about, they wanted to see if we could go in a direction of combining.
Oh, boy. Okay, we'll talk about that.
So-
Nothing, so we're still moving along.
We're still moving along.
Okay.
And I think that, as part of whatever we do, we're gonna have to look at, updating our building code chapter, chapter 119.
Okay, but that doesn't have anything to do with the historical district, does it?
No.
Okay, I just want to concentrate on that. So we're going to get together and talk some more about that, so.
We can absolutely get together and talk some more about that, because I think there's some concerns that we should probably address.
Yes, there are, so that's good, because I've heard from people at the Weirs who are very concerned about that up there, that whole situation on Lakeside
So
Avenue.
I have, if you want to discuss it at some point,
We
but
will.
I think that there's an opportunity to try something different, and that would be a form-based code.
Well, we'll talk about, we don't want to tie it up tonight, so, okay, any other business? Oh, we have election of officers tonight. My, that
Oh, I
year
forgot all
went by
about that.
quick. I did too.
Pardon? I make a motion that we nominate Charlie St. Clair to be our chair.
Second.
Well, I am just blown away by that.
Do you want to continue doing it, Charlie? I don't know.
No, I appreciate that, and I'll be happy to, as long as this guy stays here on my left, unless somebody else wants to do it.
You want to do it? No, I do not want to volunteer.
Sure, I'll do it.
There you go.
All right, there's a motion made, all in favor, raise your hands.
I'll even second it.
Opposed?
And I'll make a motion that we nominate Louis Joseph to be our,
Okay.
continue as our vice chair.
Yep, all in favor, raise your hands, that's seconded.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Well,
all right,
We
thank you.
don't have a secretary, right?
we do.
I'm the secretary.
Oh, you are? All right, I'm sorry. I make a motion that we continue, Mike
Oh, thank you,
Delvecchia be continued as secretary of the planning board.
Why do we need a
Seconded?
secretary?
Sure.
It's been second, all in favor, please raise your hands.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay. Well, thank you all for your vote of confidence in the present officers. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn
Adjourned.
at 8:32. The motion and seconded, all in favor, raise your hands. Thank you all very much.